I've worked with a few other marketing companies, and basically my goal was to, and it still is, to stay out of network and grow my practice where insurance is not the main reason why people come find me or come see us. I mean, that's really not the main reason why I want or how I want to attract patients. And a lot of times when we are getting new patients, we still see a lot of patients who have insurances, and we file out of network for them and educate them on what insurances are, more like a coupon rather than a true medical insurance that most people have. I think we had close to 75% of our patients that have some kind of PPO, and they have out-of-network benefits, and they still choose to come see us and spend that little extra.
Hey, welcome back to another episode. My name's Gary. I'm the owner of SMC National, where we help offices just like yours level the playing field against the big guys out there so you can grow the way that you want. And today, I have a special guest, one of our clients, Dr. Patel, who's out of Georgia, and he's going to be breaking down how he's doubled his new patients while staying out of network, which was his number one goal the whole time. And he's also started to see September's crushing it, and he's going to break down how that works. He's also going to dive into how he's worked with his team to accomplish that. So if you're a practice that's thinking about staying out of network, doubling your new patients, and actually having an office that does well in September, this is a good episode for you. Stay tuned. All right. So I got my friend here, Dr. Patel. We've been working together for a while, and he's recently just reached some milestones. So I asked him to come on, and probably the first conversation that we had, Dr. Patel, when you first started, you were in the teens of new patients, and you told me, Gary, my number one goal right now in my practice is I don't want to go in network. And you kind of broke down for me how your thinking is that, with insurances, you're going to pay on the back end. You're going to get patients, but you're getting pennies on the dollar in reimbursements, or you can invest in marketing, drive up your new patients. And so far you've been able to execute on that. So could you just walk through kind of how you think through that and how you look at that framework?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on here, Gary. Yeah, so I think we have been working together probably over a year now. And I have this practice here in Alpharetta, Georgia. It's super competitive. We are fee-for-service or out-of-network practice. And my goal, I've worked with a few other marketing companies, and basically my goal was to, and it still is, to stay out-of-network and grow my practice where insurance is not the main reason why people come find me or come see us. I mean, that's really not the main reason why I want to or how I want to attract patients. And a lot of times when we are getting new patients, we still see a lot of patients who have insurances, and we file out of network for them and educate them on what insurances are, more like a coupon rather than a true medical insurance that most people have. So it's been one of those things where over time is just education and spending a lot of time with communication with the team, and going over that with the patient rather than say, hey, we're fee for service, pay us everything, click. That's been sometimes the mindset when you hear fee for service. When I used to hear fee for service, it's like, you pay me $100 or 100% of your payments right now. Just walk. Exactly. And which is not the reality, because I think the last time I ran the reports, I think we had close to 75% of our patients that have some kind of PPO, and they have out-of-network benefits, and they still choose to, come see us and spend that little extra. But it all goes back to creating value, showing them, whatever tools you have, it could be technology, it could be patient experience, it could be all these different things, and creating that value with the patient and then letting the patients decide. I mean, that's basically what it's been.
Yeah. So you're in a really interesting area. So we've had times where we've ran marketing and you're like, Gary, I'm trying to help these patients, but they're not anywhere near the type of patients that we can help. And so we've done a ton of digging into your area, and you're in a very affluent area, but mixed in there are really just really, really low income areas. And so we've had to slice and dice and figure out, okay, here's where the patients make sense. And from doing that, you've gone from you're in the teens, 17, 18 new patients, and then you've gotten up into the 30s, and you're doing production on those patients, and they're staying with you. and they're buying treatment, they're staying, they're coming back. And a lot of that, there was a lot of team training that went into that you had to do, that we helped do. There was a lot of that. Could you walk me through kind of that journey and some of the bad stuff that you had to go through to get to the good stuff?
Yeah, I think more than anything, it's is the mindset, right? It's with marketing. I feel like you're casting a wider net. You're gonna find some not so ideal patients. Like if you have a definition of, hey, my ideal patient is X, and you expect that with marketing, hey, I'm paying you X thousand dollars, give me only good patients. Like that's not really how marketing works. So I think it's a mindset thing more than anything, where if you are going to get more new patients, you might get more good new patients this month, maybe less good new patients this month. But it's about how the team is communicating with these patients and how we are able to educate these patients and help patients be advocate for their own health and tell us how we can help them. So I think it starts with the doctor, right? That's, I think, one of the biggest things that you want to be aware of, right? I feel like talking to you, talking to your team, I talk with them once a week, and I think I've missed 2 calls. That's a lot of time. I mean, that's a lot of hours that we put in and we discuss, and we might not agree on things. We might agree on things. We might try things, and some days your team gets to tell me, "I told you so." Some days I get to say that, and it's not about that. So that's kind of been the journey. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then tell me a little bit about the process, because it's like you have to be in the mindset and you have to try things, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and you have your ideas and you're implementing those, and sometimes those work, sometimes they don't, like you said. But then you have to go back to your team and get them on board, right? So you got the front desk you got to get on board, you got the hygienist you got to get on board. Eventually, you're going to bring associates and all those kind of things, and so you got to get all these people on board. Walk me through that process, because that didn't happen overnight.
Yeah. So I mean, just to give you an example, I mean, our meetings with my meetings with SMC is, I think, every Tuesday. I try to make that every Tuesday afternoon right after work. I meet with my team on a regular basis. Typically, it's Wednesday, and I discuss whatever needs to be discussed, whatever tweaking that we're doing on Tuesday night. And on Wednesday, I'm having a meeting with my team. It could be a 30-minute meeting. It could be a hour and a half training, or one of these things that your team and you guys make, tailor make it for us. You go over that. It could be a training video. It could be a snippet of one of the videos. We'll go over that together. And sometimes it's just me and the three front desk people that I have. Some are cross trained. Some people join with that. So it just kind of depends on that. But the key is not to sit on it for too long. That's one of those things with execution that I've always found myself. And you get all this information and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. But really, it's like you pick one or two of these things that we talk about, and the frequency that we talk so often, you just have some things you're working on almost every day, and going back and closing that loop every week. That, okay, hey, untrackable, or when we look at the numbers, okay, we missed X number of calls. I mean, we don't miss any calls. We miss less than 2-3 calls a month, right? So that's one of the biggest things that we started off with. But then even after that, okay, we're getting all the calls, but now how many of these are we scheduling? Okay, then how many of these are showing up? How many of these are actually doing treatment? How many of these are staying in the practice? So the funnel keeps getting longer and longer. And I mean, that's just awareness. And
that's how you grow. I mean, that's literally what growth is. And so I love that you call this out, because then I've looked at like every KPI, I've looked at everything, and I'm always trying to figure out what is like the main thing that makes someone successful versus not successful. And the number one thing that I found so far is the doctor being involved, not just with the marketing, but also with their team. A lot of times doctors don't like marketing, which I understand. It's not as technical as dentistry, right? It's more woo-woo, you know what I mean, a little bit. So I get that. But if you're not working with your team and helping them improve, then nobody else is either, right? Like, and so you're just going to get the same thing over and over and over again. And one of the things you said right before you press record is that you've noticed that like your low months have turned into more stable months. So we were talking about September over the last 2 years. You were like, not only did we take some time off, but also we still had really good production months. Talk a little bit about that, of like just the growth of the office and what that's.
Right. Yeah. So September is also known as September, right? September. So we moved. I actually bought a building and I relocated my practice, and we talked about that, where I've had more physical space now available, and we moved into this new space. And since we have done that, we've had more availabilities, and what that's done is that we're able to schedule more people. And some of these slower months, we basically had like a ghost column that we've created, and we upped the budget, or whatever the budgets were. We would make sure that we would get those patients scheduled ASAP instead of waiting and trying to find the most ideal spot. We would have a column because, no shows is a real thing. And if they show up, they might not be ready to do same day treatment. But just leveraging that, like 2 days a week on those months, I think has helped us create that, doubling our production for like a September that it used to be. And with the 1 week, we were off 1 week. I like to travel a lot, so the Labor Day week, we took a whole week off and came back, worked 3 weeks, and yeah, I mean it was a great, and that's 2 times back to back, so September's back to back. So yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, we got to change the name now. That's great. So, last question for you, doctor. So, I appreciate you coming on. I know how busy you are, and I know how much work you put into this, and I know you're just kind of just giving back by coming on here. And so, the last question for you is: there's a dentist out there. They don't want to go in network. They're seeing like 10 patients a month. They've tried all this different stuff, and they just haven't got movement. What would you tell them to do? What would be your advice to them to be able to get to where you're at now?
I think the biggest thing, and again, it goes back to the mindset. If the mindset is I want just volume, there's no switch. There's no one thing that we could do and say, I've got the volume. You're gonna have to deal with insurance. I think it's awareness, it's education, and how the doctor learns first. If the doctor doesn't know that, learns first, and then slowly passes that on to their team members, and the team members educate the patients. I don't like to physically discuss insurance with patients, but sometimes I would jump in and I would just mention to them that, hey, it's a coupon and whatnot. But I would say to that dentist that production will happen if you are wanting to go the extra mile and differentiate yourself, and you might just need to invest more in marketing. Hey, that was one of the biggest things for me, knowing your market. If you are going to go in network, you're going to have reimbursements that, if you are getting $1,000 for a crown, I mean, that's a good price. Sometimes they will pay you $700. If you charge $1,300 for a crown and they pay you $700, is it worth doing more dentistry? Are you doing it smarter, or are you working harder? That's one of those things. I mean, that's a very personal thing, and there's no real right or wrong here. But I feel like I think of marketing as more of an investment, long-term investment for growth, rather than just okay, I have a budget for X $1,000. I want 20 new patients. Get me 30. Get me 40. It's about investing into your practice and how you can sustain this long-term growth, where you steadily see this over and over, month to month, rather than, oh, this month I got 100 new patients and I produced maybe just 20,000 more, versus last month I got only 20 new patients, but I produced whatever, right? So it's one of those things. I think it's a mindset more than anything. It can be done either way, but I'm choosing to stay out of network.
Good. We're going to try to make sure that you keep doing that. And I love it because, like you said, you didn't set out to like have the best Septembers ever. You just set out to like, hey, I want to incrementally grow. And then the byproduct of that is happy patients, happy team members. And then the last person to eat is the doctor. And now you're like, okay, I'm getting the momentum that I want. So great job. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this. I know a lot of doctors out there are trying to figure this out, trying to navigate it. And so you gave a ton of great tips on how to stay out of network and still build the office that you want. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Greg.